It was a quiet night in the city. The rain fell gently outside the window, tapping against the glass like tiny fingers. Morrow lay in his bed, fast asleep, a soft hum of his fan the only sound in his small apartment. He was a young man. In his early 20s, a junior engineer who worked on space communication systems. His life was normal until that night. Suddenly he woke up. It wasn't a loud noise or a nightmare that woke him. It was a feeling. Something was strange. Caleb sat up slowly and rubbed his eyes. The room was dark, lit only by the soft blue glow of his alarm clock. As he looked to his right, his heart nearly stopped. Someone was lying next to him, his breath caught in his throat. A girl, no, not a human girl, was curled up in the bed beside him. She had silver blue skin that shimmered in the light. Her long white hair floated gently, even without wind. Her eyes were closed and she looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. Caleb stared at her, frozen. What? What is this? He whispered. The girl opened her eyes. They were bright violet, glowing softly. She looked at Caleb calmly, and for a few seconds, they just stared at each other. Caleb opened his mouth to speak, but before he could say anything, a wave of strange images and feelings rushed through his mind. He saw stars, planets, and bright energy flowing through space. He felt joy, sadness, fear, and hope all at once. The images vanished as quickly as they came, and Caleb gasped. "What was that?" he asked, now breathing hard. The girl sat up. She looked around the room like she didn't understand where she was. Then she placed a hand over her heart and spoke softly, in a voice like music. Scifi. Caleb blinked. "Is that your name?" She nodded slowly. Then she pointed at him. "Caleb." His eyes widened. "How do you know my name?" Touched her forehead, then his, and said one word. "Thread." Caleb didn't understand. "Thread? Like string?" Scifi shook her head, searching for words. Then she closed her eyes and placed both hands on her chest. Soft light appeared around her, and Caleb felt something warm in his own chest. It was like a connection, a soft pull, as if something inside him recognized her. Suddenly, his phone lit up and buzzed loudly on the nightstand. Caleb jumped and grabbed it. It wasn't a normal message. A strange app he didn't remember installing was open. On the screen was a spinning star map, and Earth was glowing at the center. A countdown had started. 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. Ticking down, he turned to Scifi. "What is going on?" She looked at the screen, and then at him. She didn't have the words to explain. Instead, she placed her hand over his again. Another burst of images filled his mind, this time clearer. War in the stars, a dark force rising, and two figures standing together against it. One of them was Scifi, the other was him. Caleb pulled his hand back, confused and afraid. "No, this can't be real. You're not even human." Scifi looked hurt but not angry. She reached out gently and pointed again at both of them. "Thread bond." Then she touched the star map on the phone screen. The countdown changed, pulsing brighter. A soft sound came from his laptop across the room. It turned on by itself and displayed the same map. Caleb stood up. He was shaking now. Okay, this has to be a dream. It's a really weird dream. He walked to the bathroom, splashed water on his face, and stared into the mirror. "Get it together, Caleb," he whispered. When he returned to the bedroom, Scifi was looking at the pictures on his wall, photos of Earth's moon, his family, and a model spaceship he had built in college. She touched one photo gently and smiled. "Home," she said softly. Caleb sighed. "Yeah, that's home." There was a knock on the door. Both of them froze. Another knock, louder this time. "Mr. Morrow." A voice called out from the other side. "We detected an energy spike in this location. Please open the door." Caleb looked at Scifi. She had gone pale. She quickly stepped toward him and whispered, "Danger." Grabbed her hand. "We need to go."
Out!
Thinking, he led her to the back of the apartment, climbed out the window, and down the fire escape. Rain was still falling, but neither of them cared. They ran through the alleyways until they reached an old garage Caleb used as a workshop. He locked the door behind them and finally stopped to breathe. Who were those people, he asked? Scifi shook her head. She sat on the floor and drew something in the dust with her finger circle with 2 stars inside. Then she pointed to it and said, "Bonded." Caleb sat beside her. "Bonded, you mean? Like connected?" She nodded. He rubbed his forehead. "Okay, this is insane. You're from another world. You suddenly appear in my bed, and now people are after us, and you're telling me the universe bonded us." Scifi placed a hand on his arm. Her touch was gentle, calming. "Thread of union," she said slowly. "Old. Power. Rare. Chooses. 2 souls." Caleb looked into her eyes. He still didn't fully understand, but he saw no lies there. Only honesty and fear. He whispered, "Why me?" Scifi looked up at the ceiling, as if hearing something only she could hear. Then she said, "The thread sees, not mind, but heart." Outside, thunder rumbled in the sky. Caleb looked at the countdown on his phone. 23 hours, 12 minutes, and 8 seconds. Time was moving quickly. He turned to Scifi. "All right. If this thread bonded us for a reason, we better figure out what it is before time runs out." Scifi smiled gently, toed together, under a leaking garage roof and the weight of the unknown. A human and an alien girl sat side by side to lives tied by something older than stars, and the universe had just begun to whisper their names. The rain finally stopped just before sunrise. Caleb sat in the corner of his old garage staring at his phone screen. The countdown was still running, now at 17 hours and 32 minutes. Scifi was sitting on a soft blanket, her silver blue skin glowing faintly. She seemed calm, but her eyes stayed fixed on the star map projected from Caleb's phone. Caleb had never seen technology like that before. It wasn't from Earth. It looked like the whole galaxy was spinning on the screen, and Earth was right. At the center, he couldn't sleep. Too many thoughts raced through his head. Who was Scifi really? What did the thread of union mean? Why had it chosen him? He was just a normal human. No special powers, no secret knowledge. Just a guy who loved fixing machines and watching stars. Scifi looked at him. "You think too much?" she said softly. Caleb raised an eyebrow. "Well, sorry, I don't. Wake up every day with an alien girl in my bed telling me the universe picked us." She smiled a little. "You are not like Eliari." Caleb sat up straighter. "Eliari, is that what you are?" "My people. From the planet Alier. Far. Very far from here." He leaned forward, curious. "Are there many like you?" Scifi shook her head. "Not like me. Eliari have no feelings, no bond. They follow logic, rules, tradition. But you're different," he asked. She looked down. "As I feel I dream. I ask questions. My people did not like that." Caleb frowned. "So they sent you away?" "No," she whispered. "The thread called me. Took me. Did not choose. One moment I was on my ship, next I was in your bed." Caleb blushed slightly. That was surprising. Scifi looked at him seriously. "It was not by mistake. The thread is old, older than stars. It bonds to souls when danger comes. Real danger." Caleb leaned back against the wall. "What kind of danger?" She pointed to the spinning galaxy. "Voidkin, shadow creatures, no face, no heart. They move between stars. Long ago, they tried to destroy the thread. The last bonded pair stopped them, but both died." His chest tightened. "So we're supposed to stop them too?" "Yes." Scifi said, "We don't have much time." Later that morning, Caleb took her to the city library. He wore a hoodie, and Scifi wore a big coat and hat to hide her alien features. She didn't like the tight shoes, but she didn't complain. Caleb smiled when she stared at the elevator. Buttons like they were magic. Inside the library, he pulled out his old laptop and connected to the internet. If we're going to stop an alien threat, we need more than stories. We need real information. Maps, data, old signals, anything weird. In space activity, Scifi looked around at the books. So many stories, she said softly. Yeah, Caleb replied. Earth may not have spaceships like yours, but we've got knowledge, and humans know how to fight when it counts. They spent hours reading news about strange satellite failures and sudden power surges near the moon. Some space telescopes had recently gone offline without reason. Caleb found one old report about a black shape spotted beyond Mars. Moving too fast for any known object, Scifi touched the screen. Voidkin Scout. Are they already here? Caleb asked. She nodded. Slowly. They always send scouts first. Quiet. Watching. Then comes the swarm. Caleb stood up, eyes sharp. Then we don't have time. We need help. That afternoon, Caleb took Scifi to see his old college professor, Dr. Rowe, a space researcher, who once helped NASA. She was kind but sharp, with white hair and strong eyes. Caleb trusted her more than anyone. Caleb, you look like you haven't slept in days, Dr. Rowe said, opening her door. Hi, Professor. This is Savia. We need to talk. It's urgent. Very urgent. Inside her study, Caleb quickly explained. Everything. The bond, the countdown, the danger. Scifi stayed quiet until the end and showed Dr. Rowe the star map from her palm to her credit. The professor didn't laugh. She just looked very serious. This map isn't like anything I've seen, and the energy reading from your phone. It's off the charts, she said. If what you're saying is true, the world's in more trouble than we think. Caleb nodded. We need to contact someone, maybe the space defense teams or private space tech groups. People who will listen. Dr. Rowe thought for a moment. There's one group, Project Nightsealed. Quiet, secret, but real. They monitor deep space threats. I'll send your data to them. Scifi placed her hand on the professor's shoulder. Thank you, she said, bowing slightly. Dr. Rowe smiled. You're welcome, young lady. And Caleb, be careful. That night, back in the garage, Scifi sat beside Caleb on the floor, watching as he connected parts together, wires, circuits, screens. He was building something. What is this? She asked. A universal translator, he said. Something basic, but it should help us talk better. She watched him work. You make fast. With hands, with feeling. Caleb grinned. That's how humans are. We build things from nothing. We dream, even when the world says we can't. Scifi touched the small translator. In Aliari culture, we wait for permission, for plans, for approval. It takes many years. But you just do. Caleb looked up at her. That's what makes us human. We take risks. She smiled gently. Maybe that's why the thread chose you. Suddenly, the translator beeped. The device lit up and Savia's words became clearer through a soft speaker. Testing. Connection, the voice said. Caleb laughed. It works. Savia's eyes lit up with joy. Now, you can understand me. Her voice sounded more human through the device. But the emotion in her real voice was still there. Soft, hopeful, and curious. Caleb looked at the countdown. 8 hours, 43 minutes, and 55 seconds. Tomorrow, he said quietly. Whatever happens, we face it together. Reached out and took his hand, together. Outside, in the dark sky above Earth, something cold and silent moved through the shadows. It had no face, no voice, no feelings. It watched the planet below, sending pulses to something far deeper. In space and waiting. The night sky over the city was clear now. No clouds, no rain. But the air felt heavy, like something big was about to happen. Caleb stood on the rooftop of a tall building, watching the stars with Scifi beside him. The countdown on his phone now showed 5 hours, 22 minutes, and 19 seconds. Time was running out. What happens when it reaches 0? Caleb asked. Scifi looked up, her silver-blue skin glowing in the moonlight. The first strike begins. A small one, a test. If the world does not answer, the real attack follows. Caleb took a deep breath. Then we better get ready. Earlier that day, Dr. Rowe had sent Caleb a secure message. She had found something old Aliari data hidden in Earth's deep space signal records. Years ago, a strange transmission came from Jupiter's moon, Europa. No one could understand it then. But now, with Savia's help, it finally made sense. It's an outpost, Savia had said. Aliari built it long ago. Hidden, secret, only the bonded can open it. So Caleb made a plan. They would go to Europa. It sounded crazy. But Caleb knew a man named Rex Harlan, an old friend who worked with a private space company called Orion Edge. Rex owed him a favor. When Rex saw Savia's alien star map, he didn't laugh. "I don't know what you two are mixed up in," Rex had said, "but I can get you to Europa." One ship, one shot. Now, inside the Orion Edge hangar, Caleb and Savia prepared for the trip. The spacecraft was small, but fast. It had one pilot seat, one passenger pod, and barely enough supplies. For a round trip, Caleb looked at Savia. "Are you ready for space again?" She smiled. "With you, yes." The ship launched at midnight. The flight took less than 3 hours. Orion Edge tech was far beyond what the public knew. Caleb and Savia landed safely on Europa's icy surface, where the hidden Aliari signal was strongest. A thin layer of snow covered the ground. The sky above was black, and stars twinkled brightly. Savia led Caleb to a spot between two large ice cliffs. She touched her hand to the frozen wall. The ice glowed. A doorway opened. They entered a narrow tunnel made of smooth crystal. Lights lit up as they walked, reacting to Savia's presence. At the end of the tunnel, they reached a small chamber, filled with floating symbols and orbs of energy. "This is it," Savia said. "The memory vault." Caleb stared in wonder. "Is this?" "Yes," she said, "but not all. Only what the thread allows." She stepped forward, placing both hands on a glowing pillar. The room brightened, and images floated in the air: stars, planets, strange creatures, and the Voidkin. Caleb stepped closer. He saw a black cloud in the image. From it came long shadow arms and glowing red eyes. The creature swallowed planets whole. "That's them?" he asked. Savia nodded. "Yes, long ago the Aliari fought them. But we were not enough. Only a bonded pair could stop them. The thread joins hearts, not just minds. That is our strength." Caleb pointed to another image: two figures standing on a shining bridge of light. They were holding hands, faces glowing. One looked Aliari, the other human. Caleb whispered. "That's a human." Savia looked surprised. "I didn't know. The records say the last bonded pair lived a long time ago." "I never saw the human part." Caleb stared. "Maybe the thread always chooses humans. Maybe that's why it brought you to me." He thought for a moment. "Savia, what if humanity is the key?" On the return trip, Caleb stayed quiet, thinking hard. He knew Earth wasn't ready for the Voidkin. Most people didn't even believe aliens existed. Governments moved slowly. The Aliari waited too long. But humans, real, normal people, could act fast. When they landed, the countdown showed 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 0 seconds. Caleb took Savia to a hidden tech bunker, where some of his old college friends worked on experimental defense systems. They were hackers, builders, dreamers, and they believed him. With Savia's help, they connected alien energy fields to human weapons. They built shields using Aliari light panels. Savia shared knowledge of Voidkin weaknesses. In return, Caleb showed her how humans think in chaos, how they make plans without waiting. "You move like fire," Savia said. "Quick, warm, dangerous." Caleb smiled. "That's what makes us human." The first Voidkin strike came earlier than expected. A large object appeared above Earth's upper orbit. Black, silent, like a living shadow. Satellites stopped working. The internet flickered. Power grids in major cities went down. But this time, Earth was ready. Caleb and Savia led a small team to a launch pad, where their hybrid tech weapons were placed on a satellite rocket. They didn't wait for permission. They launched it themselves. In space, the satellite deployed human-made lasers powered by Aliari cores. The weapon hit the black object hard. The Voidkin ship cracked, not fully destroyed, but damaged. Earth had made its first hit. Back at the bunker, the team cheered. We did it. One engineer shouted, "We hit it!" But Caleb didn't smile. "This was just a scout ship," he said. "The real attack is still coming." Scifi looked at him. "Yes, but now they know we can fight." That night, Caleb and Scifi stood outside the garage again, looking up at the stars. "You were right," she said. "Humans are strong. Not because of weapons, because you believe. You care." Caleb looked at her. "And you've changed too. You're not like the others." Scifi nodded. "Because of you. Because of this bond, I feel more now. Stronger." Caleb took her hand. "We're better together." Above them, the star map appeared again. This time, it showed two bright lights connected by a glowing thread. Earth pulsed brighter than before. The bond was growing. The war had only just begun. But hope had also awakened. Far beyond the stars, the Voidkin Queen opened her eyes. She felt the thread pulse with new power. Two souls had bonded, and they were ready to fight. The next day, Caleb stood inside a large warehouse near the edge of the city. It had once been a factory, but now it was filled with people, scientists, engineers, students, and even some old soldiers. Everyone was working fast. Sparks flew. Machines hummed. Screens blinked with data. This was no longer just a garage team. It was a human resistance. Scifi walked beside him, wearing a white lab coat to blend in. Her silver-blue skin still glowed faintly, but no one cared now. They had seen her help. They knew she was on their side. Caleb looked at a new countdown timer on the big screen. 19 hours, 3 minutes and 44 seconds. It wasn't the old countdown, this one was their own. "That's when the main Voidkin ship will reach Earth's orbit," Caleb said to the team. "We have less than 20 hours. Everyone grew quiet for a moment. Then Scifi stepped forward. "We have one chance. Hit them first. Hard. Before they send the swarm." A voice from the back asked, "Can we even hurt them?" Scifi nodded. "Yes. If we use human fire and Aliari light. Together." Caleb smiled. "We've already damaged one Voidkin ship. Now we finish the job." All day the team worked. Caleb helped lead the building of hybrid drones, half Earth tech, half Aliari. They were small, fast, and quiet. Perfect for a surprise attack. Scifi trained the engineers on energy cores. She showed them how to use harmonic crystals that could disrupt Voidkin shields. Some engineers were confused at first, but Caleb helped translate her ideas. The new translator device he made worked better now. Her voice came through clearly. "Focus, precision, timing," Scifi told them. "This is how we win." That evening, they tested one of the drones in a large field outside the city. The small craft flew fast, lit with glowing blue rings. It fired a pulse of light that hit a fake target and melted it instantly. The group clapped and cheered. "It works." Someone shouted. Scifi smiled. "It will work better in space." Later, Caleb and Scifi sat on the roof of the warehouse. The sky was cloudy, but stars peeked through now and then. The air was cool, and Caleb wrapped a blanket around his shoulders. Scifi looked up. "I never thought I'd find this here." Caleb looked at her. "Find what?" She thought for a moment. "Connection? Trust? A reason to fight?" Caleb nodded. "You've helped us more than you know." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Scifi spoke again, her voice soft. "The thread does not choose lightly. When it bonds two, it is forever." Caleb turned toward her. "You mean? Even after the war?" She looked into his eyes. "Yes." He didn't know what to say, but his hand gently touched hers. No more words were needed that night. The warning came. A global alert buzzed on every screen. Phone and satellite. A massive object had entered Earth's orbit. It was shaped like a black crescent, longer than a city and darker than space. The Voidkin ship had arrived. All power in nearby regions began to flicker. Planes were grounded. Satellites went silent. The world was not ready, but Caleb and Scifi were. Inside the warehouse, the team moved fast. 10 hybrid drones were loaded into a launch truck. They would take them to the hidden launch site on the mountain. From there, the drones would fly straight, up and strike first. Sevilla stood in front of the team. "This is not just for Earth," she said. "This is for every world the Voidkin try to silence. This is the thread stand." Caleb raised his fist. "For humanity, for hope." Crowd cheered. At 3 a.m., the launch began. The truck reached the mountain and opened its roof. 10 drones flew out silently, glowing like blue comets. They moved fast. Rising through the clouds and into the dark space above, Caleb and Sevilla watched from the control room. "Target locked," one operator said. Sevilla pointed at the screen. "Aim for the core, just below the ship's center. That is their weak spot." The operator pressed the launch command. One by one, the drones fired energy pulses. The first 2 missed. The third hit the ship but bounced off its shield. Then the 4th drone hit the exact core Sevilla described. A bright flash lit the sky. The control room shook. Everyone stared, and then the ship broke. Not completely, but a massive part of it cracked open like a shell. Black pieces floated out into space. They had done it. Cheers filled the room. Some people cried. Others hugged. Caleb just stood still, eyes wide. "We hurt them," he whispered. Sevilla nodded. "Yes, now they will fear." But the celebration didn't last long. New signals appeared on the radar. Small Voidkin. Crafts, hundreds of them, were leaving. "The damaged ship, they're coming down," the operator said. "All over the world." Caleb grabbed his headset. "Send out the signal. Call everyone. We're not done." He turned to Sevilla. "This is the swarm." She looked calm but serious. "Then we fight. Together." The next few hours were chaos. All around the world, small Voidkin ships landed in cities, forests, and oceans. They looked like black spiders, with long legs and sharp edges. People screamed. Buildings shook, but humans did not run. Thanks to Caleb's early warning, many defense teams were ready. Hybrid weapons were used in secret bases. People who had trained under Sevilla now helped lead the defense. Small groups took down big threats. In one city, a school teacher used a hybrid blaster to defend her students. In another, a group of farmers used light shield drones to trap a Voidkin beast. Humanity was learning, fast, and they were not alone. At sunrise, Caleb and Sevilla flew in a small command jet to one of the worst hit zones. A huge Voidkin creature was attacking a power plant. It had glowing red eyes and armor like black stone. Normal weapons didn't work on it. Caleb aimed the jet at the creature. "We'll distract it. Then the others can hit its core." Sevilla reached for his hand. "Be careful," he smiled. "Always." The jet flew low. Caleb opened the roof and stood up, holding a hybrid cannon. As they passed over the creature, he fired. The shot hit its back and made it turn. Now the team on the ground had a clear shot. Boom. The creature fell. Caleb dropped back into the seat, laughing. Sevilla smiled. Human fire. By the end of the day, Earth was damaged but standing. The main Voidkin ship was broken. The swarm was scattered. And the world now believed. People saw Sevilla on the news. She spoke with calm, with truth. They saw Caleb beside her, human with no superpower except courage, and they began to hope. That night, back on the roof, Caleb looked at the stars. "We're still here," Sevilla nodded. "Yes, but the war's not over." He looked at her. "Then, let's finish it." She held his hand. Together. Above them, the thread pulsed brighter. The final battle was near. The stars above Earth were calm again. Everyone knew the silence would not last. Deep in space, beyond the damaged Voidkin ship, something much bigger was moving. The Voidkin Queen. She had watched everything from the shadows, how Earth fought back, how a human and an Aeoliari stood together, bonded by the thread. Now she was coming, and this time she would not hold back. In a mountain base far from the city, Caleb stood in front of a group of world leaders, scientists, and soldiers. Screens showed data, maps, and star charts. Everyone looked serious. "We've hurt them," Caleb said. "But the Queen is coming. We believe she's not just one ship. She's a living force." If she reaches Earth, no weapon we have will stop her. The general frowned. Then what do we do? Scifi stepped forward, her voice calm and strong. The answer is not in your weapons. It is in the thread. Caleb and I were bonded for a reason. Together, we can reach her mind. The thread connects souls, even dark ones. Caleb nodded. If we can reach her, maybe we can stop the war before it ends everything. A scientist raised his hand. But how? How do you two reach a creature in deep space? Scifi smiled. There is a place, the anchor. The room fell quiet. Caleb explained. We found records of it in the Aliari vault on Europa. Ancient structure buried deep under Earth, under the ocean. It holds the center of the thread. It connects all soul bonds across the galaxy, Scifi continued. If we activate it, we can send a message through the thread itself. General crossed his arms. And if it fails? Caleb looked at him. Then we'll still try, because that's what humans do. The next day, Caleb and Scifi flew in a deep-sea vessel toward the location of the anchor hidden deep below the Pacific Ocean. The waters grew darker as they descended, but the vessel lights guided the way. After 2 hours underwater, the vessel reached a strange rock formation, but it wasn't natural. Smooth pillars formed a large gate. Scifi placed her hand on the control. The gate opened with soft blue light. The anchor was awake inside. The place felt alive. Light floated in the air like fireflies. Walls pulsed with quiet energy. Caleb felt his chest grow warm. The thread was reacting to their presence. At the center stood a glowing crystal chamber. It looked like a heart made of stars. It's Scifi whispered. The heart of the thread. They stepped inside together as soon as they touched the crystal. Everything changed. Their minds were pulled into a bright space. It was not a place, but a feeling, a space between stars. Where thoughts and souls floated like music, Caleb could feel Scifi's presence beside him. Her thoughts were clear. No need for words. Then the light darkened. A shadow moved through the space. The Voidkin. Queen had entered the thread. Her voice was like a cold wind. You are small. You do not belong here. Yeah, stood tall. We do. The thread chose us. 8. The queen hissed. The thread is broken. It should not bond weakness. Caleb stepped forward. You think emotion is weakness? But it's not. It's our strength. The queen sent a wave of darkness at them, but the bond between Caleb and Scifi held strong. Their light pushed back. Then, something strange happened. Caleb saw not just the queen, but her past. She was once part of a great race, full of joy and color. But something had gone wrong. Her people had lost their light. They turned into shadows. Scifi saw it too. She is in pain. Caleb nodded. She doesn't need to be our enemy. Together, they reached out not with force, but with feeling. They shared their memories. Earth's laughter, Aliari songs, the warmth of a bond, the power of choice. The light of the thread grew stronger. The queen screamed, but not in anger, in sorrow. Her shadow cracked. Light leaked from within. Then, in the real world, the vessel's lights glowed brightly. The anchor pulsed with a new rhythm. All across the galaxy, threads between beings grew brighter. Above Earth, the Voidkin Queen's great ship slowly stopped moving. Then it turned. Without firing a single shot, it drifted back into the stars. The war was over. 2 days later, the world celebrated. People filled the streets. Lights shined from rooftops. Flags waved. No one cared about race, borders, or language. They had all survived together. Caleb and Scifi stood on a platform in front of thousands of people. Reporters from every country were watching. A world. Leader stepped forward. Earth thanks you, Scifi Valir. And you, Caleb Morrow, brave son of this planet? Scifi bowed gently. Thank you. Earth is now part of the thread. Caleb smiled. And we're ready to protect it. The crowd cheered. Later, in the quiet garden of the space base, Caleb and Scifi walked side by side. I guess the bond really was forever, Caleb said. Scifi smiled. It always was. He looked at her. What now? She looked at the stars. There are other bonds, other dangers, other lost lights. The thread needs guardians. Caleb took her hand. Then let's go find them. She squeezed his hand gently. Together. A new ship stood waiting for them. It was built by both human and Aliari hands. Strong, fast, and beautiful. As they stepped inside, the star map appeared on the control screen. New threads were glowing. All across the galaxy, the universe was calling, and two hearts were ready to answer.